A question we often get asked at Choosify is, who is Phi for? And while this is a fairly simple question on the face of it, it's really important that I say from the outset, Phi is for everyone. This is not just for people of privilege or significant income or high net worths. It's not for people of certain professions. I think there was a caricature of this is for white guys in their 30s who are engineers, because a couple of the very early famous bloggers in the FI world were precisely that. And it became a caricature. Is this just for people who are doctors or lawyers? My answer is absolutely not. Our community is a worldwide community. It's people from every background, every profession. And I think this is a really inclusive community because it's people who just genuinely want to live a better life, however they define that. And that to me is just such a cool thing. And as I've seen through our Choosify local groups, it's amazing the power that happens when you get people of like minds together, because a lot of us can't talk about personal finance. We can't talk about money. It's taboo, and it doesn't have to be. So I think going back to the original question, who is this for? Obviously, I would be a fool and naive to say that it's not going to be easier to reach financial independence for somebody making $1 million a year than somebody making $20,000 a year. Obviously, it's going to be easier for that person with the high income. But for most people, and this is the way that I chose to look at it, is that position of strength. No matter where you are, first off, the math is the same. So we've talked about the 4% rule. We've talked about savings rate in these 5 fundamentals. The math is absolutely the same, no matter if you make $70,000 a year or that $1 million a year. So it comes down to savings rate, and it comes down to ultimately, what are your expenses? What do you have to cover? And therefore, what does your net worth have to be? So that's a cool underpinning of this. But I think the most important factor is that, are you going to be better off on the path to FI than if you hadn't started? And I think unquestionably the answer is yes, you will be better off on the path to FI. Now, if you're making $30,000 a year, again, are you going to get to FI as quickly as someone making $1 million? Probably not, just based on what I assume to be savings rates. You know, obviously life costs a certain amount. So somebody making $1 million a year, they probably have a significant savings rate, and it's going to be easier for them. But for somebody, anybody, no matter where you are in the income spectrum, if you have never had any money in your bank, you have credit card debt, and you feel like you're drowning, that very first time you have $1,000 saved up in your bank account, your life is dramatically less stressful. That first time you have $5,000, $10,000. Could you imagine if you're somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck, is just using credit cards to get by, and you have $10,000 in the bank, X number of months after going down this path to FI, whatever that the number of months is to you, it doesn't matter. When you have $10,000 in the bank, $5,000 even, your life is so much less stressful because you're not living in fear of everything, right? Everything is a catastrophe when you have no money saved up. And you hear these stats, they all are different, but something to the effect of 40 to 50% of Americans cannot cover a $400 expense. They have to borrow money. They have to get a payday loan or put it on credit cards at 20+% interest. In the case of payday loans, hundreds of percent interest per year, which is absurd. But you're living on that edge if you have no money saved up. And just something simple like you get a flat tire and it costs you $150 to get a new tire. If you have no money saved up, that is an emergency, truly. Whereas I like to look at it as life is lumpy, okay? That isn't an emergency. You're going to eventually in your life, you're going to get a flat tire, or just simply, you're going to need new tires. Forget a flat tire. Just, hey, tires last X number of miles, 35,000 miles, whatever it is. At some point, you're going to need new tires. And I hate to harp on this exact example, but actually just on our car, we had to replace the tires and it was expensive. But if we had no money saved up, that would have been an emergency. I don't know what we would have done. But again, with some savings, with some net worth, you have power because you don't have to freak out when something like that happens. So I think that is the critical piece of what we're talking about here. This is for everybody. Even if FI seems unattainable to you, I would argue that it is not unattainable really for anybody within reason. But even if you're going to just humor me, listen to this video, just humor me, and it seems impossible for me. But regardless, then that's fine. We'll take that. It might be a limiting belief, but we'll take that for now. But I guarantee you that first time you have a couple $1,000s saved up, your life is going to be better. It just simply is. So that is why I feel so strongly that no matter who you are, what your background is, if you have limiting beliefs, no matter what your income is, where you live, it doesn't matter. Your life will be better when you are on the path to financial independence. And I believe that with every fiber of my being.